The void of space was silent, vast, cold, and endless. The alien warship Craxion glided through the Orion Rift, a dark region where no light ever lasted long. Even the stars here seemed afraid to shine. Inside the ship, glowing panels hummed softly. The crew of the Vorkai Empire worked in silence, their eyes locked on scanners that showed only darkness. They were patrolling an empty sector, a place said to be cursed where fleets vanished and messages never returned. Captain Zareth Cowell stood at the center of the bridge, tall and still as stone. His silver armor reflected the cold light of the consoles. His people were warriors, proud and ruthless, but even he felt uneasy here. "Status?" he asked, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. The navigation officer, Karin, looked up. "Nothing, Captain. No signals. No radiation. No life," Zarath nodded. "Good, keep it that way." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Everyone had heard the old rumors, that once, long ago, something terrible had happened here. A human fleet had entered the rift, and never returned, but humans were gone now, extinct. Their colonies dust. Their homeworld burned, at least that was what every race believed. Then, without warning, the ship's sensors screamed. A sharp, static-filled tone cut through the silence. Long, piercing, alive. Karin flinched. "Captain!" Unknown signal detected. Zarath turned sharply. "Source? It's not local. The signal's old, thousands of cycles old, but somehow active. Put it on the main screen." The lights dimmed. The bridge went dark except for the flickering hologram that appeared in front of them, a wave pattern repeating every few seconds. Then, through the static, a voice began to form. A human voice. "We are not gone. We are watching." The words came slowly, distorted but clear enough to freeze every soul on the ship. The crew stared in shock. No one moved. Zarath's mandibles twitched slightly. "That's impossible," Karin whispered. "Humans are dead. This must be an echo, some kind of data ghost." But the science officer shook his head, his face pale. "No, Captain. The signal carries active encryption, current patterning, not ancient. It's transmitting now." The bridge fell silent again. Only the sound of the human message echoed through the air, calm, haunting, and endless. "We are not gone. We are watching," Zarath finally spoke. "Trace it." The crew worked fast, fingers moving over glowing controls. The scanner spun through frequencies, triangulating the origin. "Coordinates locked," said Karin. "It's coming from the edge of the rift, near the collapsed binary stars." Zarath narrowed his eyes. "Set course." "Captain," Karin hesitated. "That area is unstable. The last fleet that entered never returned." Zarath turned to her, his gaze cold. "Neither will we if we let fear command us. Move." The engines roared to life. The Craxion turned, slicing through the darkness toward the coordinates. Outside the ship, the rift pulsed with faint energy, waves of invisible light brushing against the hull. Inside, the human voice grew louder. "You should not have come. The stars. Remember." The word sent a chill through the crew. Karin swallowed hard. "Captain, this isn't a normal transmission. It's interacting with our systems. It's rewriting our data." Zarath frowned. "Rewriting how?" "Look." She pointed to the screen. The signal map shimmered, changing shape. The stars around them, once bright, were beginning to fade, one by one. At first, the crew thought it was a visual glitch. But as they stared out the main viewport, their hearts froze. The stars were actually disappearing. Not fading behind dust, not dimming, vanishing completely, swallowed by nothingness. "Report," Zarath barked. The science officer shouted, "Spatial collapse detected. The light sources are being absorbed by an unknown field." Zarath's voice hardened. "Is it a weapon?" "No, sir, it's alive." The ship trembled. A low hum filled the air, deep and resonant, vibrating through the walls like a heartbeat. Karin's eyes widened. "Captain, the signal is syncing with the ship's energy core." The lights flickered. The air felt heavy, electric. The human voice returned, louder, clearer than before. "You found our signal, but it was never meant to be found. We guard the light. Leave now, before the stars go dark." The words echoed through every speaker, every console, every corner of the ship. Some crew members covered their ears. Others whispered prayers in their alien tongues. Zarath stood unmoving. If this is a warning, it's one made by ghosts. He pointed forward. Take us closer. Captain, please, Karen started, but he cut her off. I said move. The Craxion surged ahead. The remaining stars around them blinked out like candles in the wind. The void grew deeper, heavier. Even the ship's reflection vanished from its own windows. Then silence. Every system on the bridge froze. Screens turned black. Engines died. Gravity weakened. The crew began to float weightless, eyes wide in fear. Zerath gripped the arm of his chair, forcing calm into his voice. Status report. No one answered. The only sound was the faint hum of the signal. Then, on the main screen, a shape appeared. A dark outline. Vast. Silent. It wasn't a ship. It was too big. Zerath's heart pounded as the shape drifted closer, filling the screen at a massive structure of human design. Stretching for miles, carved on its surface were words in ancient Earth text, EDN relay, do not approach, and beneath it, faintly glowing through the dark, we are not gone. We are watching. The bridge lights flared for a second, then went black again. Outside, the last visible stars vanished, every one of them swallowed by a spreading wave of darkness. The Craxion floated alone, trapped between the voice of ghosts and a sky without light. The bridge of the Craxion was filled with darkness. Only the dim red glow of emergency lights remained. For a moment, no one breathed. The crew floated silently, their eyes fixed on the black window where stars had once burned bright. There was nothing now. No light, no movement, only the endless crushing void. Captain Zerath Call steadied himself against his chair. His deep voice cut through the silence. Systems report. The science officer struggled with his controls. All systems unresponsive, Captain. Engines offline. Navigation. Dead. Karen's hands trembled as she checked her console. We've lost external sensors. It's like the universe around us stopped existing. A low hum pulsed through the ship again, slow and rhythmic like a heartbeat. The same tone from the human signal, but deeper now. Closer. Zerath turned toward the sound. That frequency. Amplify it, Corinne hesitated. Sir, it might do it. She obeyed. The hum grew louder until it filled every corner of the ship. Then the voice returned, calm, human, and cold. You came too far. You touched the silence. The light fades for you now. The alien crew froze. Even battle-hardened warriors felt fear crawl down their spines. Zerath's eyes narrowed. Identify the source. I want to know who's speaking. Karen's screen flickered weakly. The signal origin has changed. It's no longer external. It's inside our ship. Inside? Zerath repeated, his voice low. Yes, it's using our own power grid as a carrier. It's in the walls, the circuits, everywhere. Suddenly, one of the bridge doors hissed open on its own. Cold mist drifted in from the corridor. The air temperature dropped sharply. From the mist came faint whispers, not in their language but in human speech. They should have stayed asleep. They broke the seal. A young crewman screamed and backed away from his station. Captain! Something's moving in the hall. Zerath drew his plasma sidearm, his face calm but his heart racing. Show it on internal cams. Karen switched the display. Static covered the screen, then cleared just enough to reveal a long corridor filled with darkness. At the far end, a faint figure flickered, a human silhouette, glowing faint blue as if made of light and smoke. The crew stared in horror. Impossible, whispered Karen. They're extinct. The figure turned its head toward the camera. Its eyes glowed white. For a second, its lips moved, forming words no one wanted to hear. You shouldn't be here. Then the feed died. The crew fell silent. Only the low hum of the signal remained. Zerath lowered his weapon slowly. This isn't a ghost. It's a projection, an ancient defense system, maybe. The science officer shook his head. No, Captain. The radiation pattern isn't artificial. Whatever that is. It's alive, the air crackled. Sparks leapt from the consoles as the ship shook violently. Gravitational distortion detected, shouted Karen. Something massive forming ahead of us. On screen, Zerath ordered. The viewport flared with light. For the first time since the stars vanished, something shone in the dark. A twisting vortex of white and gold, swirling like a storm made of energy. Inside that storm floated ships, hundreds of them, silent and still. Zirath leaned forward, eyes wide. Are those human vessels? Yes, sir, whispered Karen. They match old Earth designs and destroyers, carriers, dreadnoughts. But they're glowing. The fleet hung motionless in the dark void, their hulls cracked but shining with a strange energy. Their formation was perfect, precise, like soldiers still guarding something unseen. The science officer muttered, "They're not moving, but they're emitting power levels far beyond anything known." "Scan them," Zirath commanded. Karen worked quickly. "Captain, every one of those ships is transmitting the same message. Play it." Her hand hovered nervously over the control. A familiar voice filled the bridge. "Protocol ascension active. Non-human presence detected. Observation sequence initiated." Zirath's expression darkened. "Observation sequence? What does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, the Craxians' engines roared back to life on their own. The ship's thrusters ignited without command, pulling them closer to the ghostly fleet. "Override," Karen shouted. "Controls are locked." "The ship's flying itself. Shut it down." Zirath barked, "I can't. It's not responding." The crew struggled against the force of acceleration as the Craxian moved deeper into the light storm. The ghost fleet surrounded them on all sides, silent guardians staring down at their intruder. Then, as suddenly as it began, the ship stopped. Everything went still. Outside, one of the massive human ships slowly turned. Its cannons glowed faintly, but it didn't fire. Instead, its communication channel opened on its own. A voice came through. Calm, female, commanding. "This is Admiral Sarah Cole, Earth Defense Network. Identify yourself." The alien crew looked at one another, speechless. Karen stammered, "Admiral Cole? But she's been dead for millennia." Zirath leaned forward. "This can't be real." "It's an automated system," the voice continued, stronger now. "You've crossed into the preserved zone of humanity. You have awakened the memory of the stars." Zirath clenched his fists. "If this is a warning, you'll need more than words to scare us." But even as he spoke, the darkness outside began to twist again. The vortex widened, revealing something behind the ghost fleet. Something enormous, breathing, ancient. Karen gasped. "Captain, look." Beyond the human ships, a black shape moved, so vast it made the fleet look like dust. The few remaining stars on the edge of the rift blinked out one by one. The voice of Admiral Cole returned, softer this time, almost sorrowful. "You should not have come here. When the last light fades, so do we." The bridge lights flickered. The signal pulsed once more, then fell silent, and outside the final star disappeared. The Craxian drifted among giants. Hundreds of ancient human warships surrounded it, silent and glowing faintly against the black void. Their hulls were covered with strange runes of light, not symbols of war but of remembrance. No stars shone anymore. Only the ghostly fleet illuminated the endless darkness. Captain Zirath Cowell stood in front of the viewport, his jaw tight. His eyes reflected the pale light of the ships. "Report," he ordered quietly. The science officer replied, voice trembling. "All readings are inconsistent. The fleet appears to be made of matter and energy at the same time. Every scan returns impossible results." Karen's hands moved over her console. "Captain, these ships are old, thousands of cycles, but their reactors are still active. It's like they never aged," Zirath frowned. "No ship lasts that long." She nodded slowly. "Unless something preserved them." The communication channel flickered again. The same human voice, a calm, commanding female. "You have entered a restricted sector. Leave now or witness the memory of what you were never meant to see." Zirath's claws tightened around his armrest. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Are you human? Are you alive?" There was a pause. Then the voice replied, "We are the echo of humanity. The memory of our final stand." The image on the screen shifted. A hologram filled the bridge. A woman in a white uniform, her face calm but sad. Her eyes glowed faint blue, the same as the ships outside. She looked at Zirath directly. "I am Admiral Sarah Cole, commander of the Earth Defense Network." "You should not be here," Corinne whispered. "This can't be real. She's been dead for thousands of years." Zirath stayed firm. "Admiral Cole, humanity is gone. Your worlds are dust. What are we seeing?" The hologram flickered for a moment. Her voice grew softer but full of sorrow. "We are not gone. We ascended. When the war ended, when the stars began to fade, Humanity changed. We became part of the light, the guardians of what remains. Her gaze moved to the stars outside. This fleet was the last to fall. But our mission never ended. We protect the boundary. Boundary? Xerath asked. Between what? Between life and the void. The crew exchanged nervous looks. The word void carried no translation in their tongue. It simply meant nothingness beyond reason. Karen took a step forward. Admiral, what do you mean by void? What happened here? The hologram dimmed for a moment, then reappeared with new images, ancient footage playing across the bridge. They saw a war unlike any ever recorded. Human ships, tens of thousands strong, battling an unseen enemy. Planets burning, stars collapsing, entire systems torn apart. Admiral Cole's voice narrated softly. It began when we tried to expand beyond the edges of known space. We found something waiting, a hunger that consumed light itself. We called it the void. The crew watched in silence as human fleets sacrificed themselves to hold the darkness back. Every explosion looked like a dying sun. We built weapons of light. We burned entire galaxies to seal the rift. In the end, we used ourselves as the barrier. That is why the stars disappear, because we are the stars now. The image ended. Only her calm face remained. Xerath's throat felt dry. You're saying humans became part of the universe itself? Yes, she said. We gave up form to protect it. And now you are breaking the seal. Karen's voice trembled. We didn't mean to. We only followed a signal. The hologram turned toward her. You followed a call that was never meant to be heard. The signal is a warning, a wall made of sound. You pierced it. Suddenly alarms blared. The Craxian shook violently. Karen shouted, "Energy spike! Something's coming through the rift." Xerath gritted his teeth. What is it? The sensors went wild, readings far beyond known limits. On the main screen, the void rippled like a black ocean. From its depths, a shadow emerged. It was massive, larger than a moon, its shape constantly shifting, claws of darkness stretching across the empty sky. Karen gasped. Captain, that's not a ship. No, Xerath said quietly. That's what they were fighting. The hologram of Admiral Cole turned toward the screen, her face calm but tense. It's too soon. The seal is weakening. Your presence draws it closer. Xerath's mind raced. Then help us stop it. Her voice softened. You can't stop it. Only we can. But our strength fades every time someone touches the silence. The shadow grew larger. It began to move toward the fleet. The light from the human ships dimmed as if something were feeding on them. Xerath shouted, Karen, can we pull back? She shook her head. Engines still locked. It's pulling us in. The hologram looked back at Xerath. You must leave this place. Tell your people never to search again. The light you see as it is all that keeps you alive. Her form flickered, becoming transparent. We will hold the line once more, for all life. And with that, the ghost fleet moved. The human ships, silent for millennia, turned in perfect formation. Their cannons glowed bright white. They fired together, beams of pure energy slashing into the darkness. The entire void lit up like a new sun. Xerath shielded his eyes. By the stars. The shadow screamed, a sound that made space itself tremble. The blast tore it apart, but the light began to fade again. One by one, the human ships vanished, consumed by their own energy. The hologram of Admiral Cole gave one last look toward Xerath. Remember us, not as ghosts but as guardians. Then she was gone. The fleet vanished. The darkness remained. And in that silence, only one signal continued. Faint, distant, but alive. We are not gone. We are watching. Xerath stood motionless, his reflection flickering in the black glass. Karen whispered, Captain, what happens now? He looked out into the void, voice low. Now we learn what they died protecting. Outside, something vast moved again, and the darkness began to breathe. The Craxian drifted in silence. The ghost fleet was gone. The black void remained, cold, empty, and endless. No stars, no light. Only the soft hum of the ship's dying systems. Captain Xerath Cowell stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the last place the human hologram had stood. His crew worked quietly, too afraid to speak. The air felt heavy, almost sacred. Karen broke the silence first. Captain, the signal is still active. Xerath turned slowly. After all that? She nodded. Yes, sir. But it's different now. It's no longer repeating the same message. It's forming words, directed at us. Zerath frowned. Play it. The speakers crackled, and then a calm human voice filled the air. Captain Zerath Kal of the Vorikai Empire. Do you still seek the truth? The bridge froze. The voice knew his name. Karen looked at her screen, her eyes wide. Captain, it's not a recording. It's live. Zerath took a slow breath. Respond. Karen hesitated. How, sir? Use any frequency. They'll hear. She pressed the comm switch. Zerath's deep voice echoed across the void. This is Captain Zerath Kal. Who are you? For a few seconds there was only static. Then the same soft, steady tone returned. I am Admiral Sarah Cole, the last voice of humanity. You came seeking us. Now you must see what we became. The holographic projector at the center of the bridge flickered to life once again. The blue light grew brighter until it filled the room. And there she was, Admiral Cole, standing tall in her white uniform, her face calm and full of something deeper than pride. Sorrow. Her eyes glowed faintly like the light of dying stars. Zerath's crew watched in silence. None dared to move. Admiral Cole, Zerath said carefully, you told us humanity ascended. What does that mean? The hologram looked at him with eyes that seemed to see far beyond him. When the war with the void began, we realized no weapon could destroy it. It was not made of matter. It fed on energy, on thought, on time itself. So we made a choice. She turned toward the viewport. The blackness outside began to shimmer faintly with tiny lights. We merged our essence with the light of the stars. Every human, every soul became part of the barrier that holds the darkness back. Our bodies died, but our will became eternal. Karen whispered, You became the stars? The hologram nodded. Yes, the stars you see at night. They are us. They burn because we do. But when the light fades, it means one of us has fallen. The entire bridge went silent. The aliens looked out into the void, where the stars had vanished, realizing now what they had truly witnessed, the death of human souls. Zerath's voice was low. Then why send the signal? Why call us here? We didn't, Cole said softly. The signal wasn't a message. It was a warning, a seal designed to repel anyone who approached the boundary. You broke it. Karen looked down. We thought it was distress, not protection. You couldn't have known, the hologram replied, but now the darkness stirs again. The void senses life beyond the seal. It hungers once more. Zerath clenched his fists. Then we'll fight it with you. The hologram turned to him slowly. Her expression was not anger. It was grief. You don't understand, Captain. This is not a war you can win with weapons. The void cannot be destroyed, only contained. It was born when the first star died, and it will live until the last one fades. Zerath's voice grew firm. Then why keep fighting? Why sacrifice eternity for something you can't kill? She met his eyes. Because the light is life, and life must resist the dark. That is what it means to be human. Her words echoed across the bridge like a quiet storm. The crew listened, unable to look away. Karen whispered to herself. They became eternal just to protect others. The hologram looked down for a moment. There was one final order given before we ascended. Protect all life, no matter the cost, even yours. Suddenly the lights dimmed. A deep rumble shook the ship. Karen shouted, Captain, massive energy surge detected ahead. It's the void. It's moving again. The hologram's form flickered, her image breaking apart. It's too late. The seal is open. The void will reach your world next. Zerath stepped forward. Tell us how to close it. There must be a way. There is, she said quietly. But it requires light. More than your kind can create. Only we can hold it back. But we are fading. Then take our energy, Zerath said. Use our ship, our core, whatever you need. The hologram's glowing eyes softened. You would sacrifice yourselves for a race you never knew? Zerath nodded slowly. You fought for us once, even when we didn't exist yet. The least we can do is stand beside you. For a moment her expression warmed, like sunlight piercing the dark. You have the heart of what we once were. Perhaps that is why you were chosen to find us. She lifted her hand. The air filled with golden light. The crew shielded their eyes as streams of energy flowed from the Craxian's reactor into the hologram. Karin gasped. They're drawing our core power. Zerath stood firm. Let them. Outside, faint lights began to reappear. One by one, stars flickering back to life across the sky. The hologram's voice grew faint. We will hold the void back a little longer, but the cycle always returns. When it does, remember this moment. Zerath stepped closer. What should we remember? That even in the darkest sky, light can still rise again. Her image flickered once more, then vanished completely. The Craxian floated in silence. The stars were shining again, dim but alive. Karin looked up slowly. Captain, did we save them? Zerath shook his head. No, they saved us. Outside the window, the stars pulsed softly, as if whispering their thanks. And then faintly, the voice returned, like a heartbeat in the dark. We are not gone. We are watching. The stars were back, faint, trembling dots in the dark. But the silence that followed was worse than before. Captain Zerath Cowell stood at the front of the Craxian's bridge, staring into the endless void. The human hologram was gone, and the air felt empty again, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Karin's voice broke the stillness. Captain, sensors are unstable. Space itself is shifting. Zerath turned sharply. Shifting how? Her trembling hands moved across the console. Gravity waves, huge ones. It's like something alive is moving through space. But it's not matter. It's... The ship shook violently before she could finish. The lights flickered red. An alarm screamed through the bridge. Lieutenant Drath shouted, Massive energy surge at .001 mark. It's the void. Sir, it's waking up. The crew watched in horror as the darkness outside began to twist. The stars, those fragile dots of light, started to blink again, one by one. But this time they didn't fade quietly. They were being pulled into something deeper. It looked like a wound opening in the universe, a black storm with tendrils of energy, like claws tearing through reality. Zerath gritted his teeth. All power to shields, get us clear. Karin's voice trembled. It's too late. The field is expanding faster than light. The ship jerked as invisible waves smashed against its hull. Sparks flew from the ceiling. The crew struggled to keep balance. Then, silence again. For a moment, it felt like the storm had stopped, but when they looked out the viewport, their hearts froze. The Craxian wasn't alone. Dozens of alien ships had arrived, the entire Vorkai fleet, responding to their distress call. But they weren't fighting. They were floating, powerless, caught in the storm's gravity. Karin gasped. They're being pulled in. Zerath slammed his fist against the console. No, they don't even know what they're facing. Suddenly, the ship's main screen flickered, and a faint human voice echoed again. Captain Call, the barrier is failing. The void is awake. Zerath leaned forward. Admiral Cole? You're still here? The holographic image of Admiral Sarah Cole reappeared, faint and flickering. Her glow was weak, her form unstable, as if she was fighting to exist. We used your ship's energy to restore part of the light, but it wasn't enough. The void sensed the spark, and now, it's coming. Karin whispered, Is there any way to stop it? The Admiral's eyes looked distant, tired. No, but there is a way to seal it again, if you're willing to pay the same price we did. Zerath's heart pounded. Tell me what to do. You must ignite the star behind you. It's young, full of energy. Detonate your fleet's cores together. Turn them into a supernova. The explosion will restore the light barrier, but no one will survive. The bridge went silent. Even the hum of the engines felt distant. Karin looked up, her eyes wide. Captain, that would destroy every ship in this sector. Zerath stared at the hologram. If we don't, the void will consume every world. There won't be a sector left to save. Drath's voice cracked. Captain, there must be another way. Zarath turned slowly toward his crew. His expression was calm now, steady, even in the face of death. We came searching for the humans to learn from them. I think this is their lesson. Karin's eyes filled with tears. To die for hope? He shook his head softly. No, to become the hope. He activated the comms. Attention all Vorkai ships. This is Captain Zarath Kal. We stand at the edge of the void, and we've seen the truth. The humans gave everything to hold the darkness back. Now it's our turn. The fleet commanders answered one by one. Understood, Captain. For the light. For the Vorkai. And for the humans. Admiral Cole watched silently, a faint smile touching her fading form. You have the courage they once did. Maybe that's why the signal reached you. Zarath nodded once. Then let's finish what they started. He turned to Karin. Prepare the ignition sequence, synchronize all reactors. Karin's hands shook as she entered the codes. Sequence ready, we are, sir. The human hologram stepped closer, her glow brighter now. When the light returns, tell your children we are still here, in every star that burns. Zarath looked at her one last time. And tell your people, they are not forgotten. The Admiral saluted, then her form dissolved into golden light, spreading across the bridge. Zarath took a deep breath and whispered, For humanity. For the light. He pressed the final command. Outside, the fleet's reactors flared, hundreds of ships glowing brighter than suns. For a heartbeat, the darkness screamed, a sound that shook the stars themselves. Then the universe exploded into light. A blinding wave of energy spread outward, wrapping the void in white fire. The wound in space began to close, sealed by the power of sacrifice. The Craxion's hull melted in the brilliance, but the crew didn't scream. They stood together, proud, calm, their eyes filled with light. Karen's last words were a whisper. It's beautiful. And then, silence. When the light faded, the stars returned, brighter, stronger, alive. Where the Craxion once floated, a new star burned, shining pure and golden. Deep within, its core faint voices echoed through eternity. We are the light that resists the dark. The universe was safe once more for now. The light had returned. The black sky that once swallowed the stars now shimmered with gold and silver. The new sun, the one born from the sacrifice of the Craxion and her fleet, burned bright in the center of the void. It was beautiful. And alive. The darkness was gone. For now. Far away on the distant colony world of Vendora Prime, the skies glowed brighter than anyone had ever seen before. Farmers stopped working. Children pointed upward. Even the elders who once feared the endless night stood in silence as the heavens shone again. Look, whispered a young boy. A new star. No one knew what it meant, not yet. But across the galaxy a signal pulsed from that newborn sun. It traveled through space and time, soft and rhythmic like a heartbeat. And with it came a voice. We are the light that resists the dark. The people of Vandora didn't understand the language, but somehow, they felt it. A warmth deep inside like hope. Light years away in the command station of the Vorkai Empire, Supreme Chancellor Tareth Vaughn stood before a giant screen. The image of the new star filled the room. Are you certain? He asked, his voice heavy with awe. The science officer nodded. Yes, Chancellor. Energy readings match the frequency of the Craxion's last transmission. They did it. The captain did it. The Chancellor turned away from the screen, silent for a moment. Then he said softly, Zarath Kal, you gave us more than victory. You gave us light. The room fell quiet. Even hardened warriors stood still, heads lowered in respect. They had found the humans, and through their sacrifice they had learned what it meant to be like them. Days passed. The new star continued to pulse. At first it was just light, but soon strange patterns began to appear in the waves, complex signals, like a voice trying to form words. The scientists worked day and night decoding it. Finally, one evening, Karin's old student, Lieutenant Rin, managed to reconstruct a faint message. He ran into the Chancellor's chamber, breathless. "Sir, we decoded part of it." The Chancellor turned sharply. "What does it say?" Rin smiled, his eyes wide with disbelief. It's a message from the humans." He activated the projector. A golden light filled the room and the faint warm voice of Admiral Sarah Cole echoed again. "If you can hear this, it means the light endures. The void will return one day as it always does. But remember, it only wins when hope dies. Keep the stars alive. Keep fighting. And when the darkness comes again, we will rise with you." The voice faded, leaving only the soft hum of the star in the background. The Chancellor didn't speak. He just stared at the projection, his expression full of quiet emotion. Then he whispered, "We thought they were gone, but they're still out there, watching." On the edge of the galaxy, a small exploration vessel named the Novara drifted near the new sun. Its crew, young and curious, had been sent to study the strange readings. The captain, Lyra Sen, leaned over the console. "Do you see that?" Her co-pilot nodded. "Yes, Captain." "The light waves, they're alive." "Alive?" she repeated. "Yes, they respond when we get closer. Almost like it knows we're here." The captain smiled softly. "Maybe it does." She opened the external comms and spoke gently toward the star. "This is Captain Lyra Sen of the Novara. We come in peace." For a moment there was only silence. Then the ship's lights flickered. The air filled with a faint hum like a distant choir. "Welcome, child of the light," a voice whispered. Lyra froze. "Did you hear that?" Her co-pilot nodded, his face pale. "It's them, the humans." The voice grew a little stronger, like a ghost remembering its form. "You stand where brave souls fell. The light you see is their gift. Protect it." Tears filled Lyra's eyes. "We will, I promise." The glow outside shimmered brighter as if in approval. Back on Vandora Prime, the boy who first saw the new star looked up at it every night. He didn't know about the Craxian or Captain Zerath, or the humans who gave their lives to save them. But when he closed his eyes, he could almost hear the same whisper echo in his dreams. Even in the darkest sky, light can rise again. And every night, he whispered back, "I will remember." Years later, that boy would grow into a captain himself, leading new fleets, exploring the edge of the galaxy. And every ship he commanded carried the same emblem, a burning star surrounded by two hands, one human, one alien. It became the symbol of unity between all species. Known as the Covenant of Light, their first law was simple: no darkness shall rise without light standing against it. And in every corner of space, near every new colony, people looked up at the shining golden sun, the one born from sacrifice, and they remembered, because the humans were never truly gone. They had become the stars, the guardians of the endless sky, and somewhere deep in the light a familiar voice whispered once more, "We are still watching." The end.